Hello, my name is Stephen Jones, the superintendent at Little Falls Community Schools, and this is our first Focus on Education show of the 2014-15 school year. I sit here today on our 23rd day of school already as we have begun our new school year, and joining me is Mr. Wade Mathers. Mr. Mathers is our new our new middle school principal here at Little Falls Community Schools. Wade, welcome.
Thank you.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce Wade to our community at large. Wade has been with us, as I said, since we hired him in July, starting to acclimate himself into our community and getting up to speed right now, Wade, right? Over at the middle school?
That would be correct, yes.
So let's find out a little bit about Mr. Mathers. Tell us where you were born, where you were raised, your education, and what ultimately ended up bringing you to Little Falls.
Yeah. Well, as far as background, as growing up and where I was born, my family moved back and forth from North Dakota and New York State. My mom is a North Dakota native. My dad is from Bennington, Vermont, thus the moving back and forth. Went to elementary school and a couple years of high school in New York State. We moved to Williston, North Dakota in 1984 when I was a junior in high school. Graduated from Williston. I worked a year after high school. Gave my dad a stress attack because I am the oldest, and he thought that I wouldn't go to college if I did that, but did go to college. Working for a year made me want to definitely go to college. Attended college in Dickinson, North Dakota, and there I met my wife of 25 years this summer. I obtained a degree in education for art education in Dickinson, North Dakota. My wife was a language arts teacher, and from there our first teaching job was in Lemon, South Dakota, a small town in the northwest corner of South Dakota.
Okay, so you started in South Dakota as a teacher.
Yes.
Taught there for a few years and must have somehow ended up in Minnesota.
Yes. Yep, taught for 5 years, K-12, and our daughter was getting an age. We wanted to kind of establish some roots, and we wanted to pursue our professional career and schooling. So we started looking, and we moved to Redwood Falls, Minnesota then, and we were there for 16 years, 5 years as an art teacher, 11 years as a middle school principal.
Okay, so you taught art for about 10 years. What was the decisions that drove you to seek administration?
Administration? I don't know. I think it's combinations of all things. I don't know if it's being an oldest child. I liked to do different, I was kind of the leader of our pack of 8. I'm the oldest of 8. Then with teaching, I enjoyed taking on leadership roles just within the school, worked closely with administration. Loved teaching, loved working with the students, but just had a draw to it, and I saw how, as an administrator, I may be able to have an impact even further outside of my classroom. Sure.
So, 16 years in Redwood Falls. You saw a posting for a job here in Little Falls. What made you decide to throw your name in the ring?
Yeah. Well, my wife and I, after our daughter moved out, went to college, we had talked about it for about 3 years, about getting closer to family was a big drive, closer to family, and then many people work a career and then say, when I retire, this is where I want to go. Mm-hmm. And geographically, it was an attractive area for both. Okay. Looked a little bit, nothing though came across that was just perfect. Okay. And actually, this past year, I looked the hardest that I had ever looked, and pretty much gave up, thought, no, nothing's up yet. And then when Little Falls came up and we investigated, it fit everything for what we were looking. So threw my name in the hat and decided to take a chance.
Well, just so folks know, Wade's name was not the only name in the hat. We had about 50 applications for the Little Falls Community Middle School job, and it was a pretty unique experience to bring Wade in with 5 other candidates for really a day-long opportunity to meet with stakeholders in the community, the school, staff, students, school board, administration, the whole gamut.
Yes, yeah, the experience was great. Coming from that, being able to meet and visit with so many people, like say parents, students, school, being able to leave that experience without very many questions in my mind about what the culture of the school was, what the school was about, what was important. So that interview experience was wonderful in helping us formulate our decisions if we were to get a job offer, and as it turned out, we did.
Yep, and so they did, and Wade did accept the position, and Mr. Mathers is here with us. So let's go back and talk about how you were introduced to staff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a variety of ways, I guess.
But I'm thinking of one way in particular.
Yes, yes. We did have some one-on-one meetings and stuff too, but it was a surprise to me at our district meeting. So the whole district staff is in the auditorium, and we're going through what we do cover at a district meeting. And prior to that, I was making sure I was ready for what I had to do, and I knew I just had to introduce new middle school staff. And then there was at a point, I look around and I'm the only one sitting, all the other administrators are gone, and I kind of panicked, what did I forget? And then realized I was called up to a play and a script handed to me that I had no idea was happening, but it was great fun.
Yep, so Leave It to Beaver fans would recognize that Jerry Mathers
Yes.
was the star of Leave It to Beaver. Wade Mathers, no relation,
Correct, no relation that I'm aware of.
is our Beaver cleaver. And the best part about it is, of course, that Mr. Mathers knew none of this was happening, but in front of 400 staff members, really became a guy that really ingratiated himself to the staff. And I thought it was a great introduction, and I think things have only continued to grow
Yes.
from there. So
Yes.
you're now with kids and staff for over a month. Tell us about your thoughts and your perceptions of your first 30 days with kids
Yeah.
and staff.
Well, it's been a great place to be. I'm not taking anything from Redwood, but I haven't looked back. It's been a wonderful transition here. The middle school is just vibrant, full of energy, working with the staff, people just being team players, pitching in about the kids. The students have been just very enthusiastic. A wonderful student body and staff here. We're having a lot of fun right now, planning and doing our Spirit Week in the middle school and getting ready for a Pep Fest. With that, and just looking at how can we continue to increase the positive culture that is going on, where we have students wanting to run in the building faster than they want to run out, ultimately about learning then.
Yep, and you mentioned a huge word, and I think at the middle school level, people's perception is different than the reality.
Yes.
I think of any building in any district, folks think that middle schoolers are the most unruly, the most unpredictable, and I think there's probably some of that holds some truth, but as you know the energy that 6th, 7th, and 8th graders have, how do you take that energy in a middle school, Mr. Mathers, and turn it into a positive cultural experience?
Well, it is true. At the middle, it is a transition. It's transition years for students. They're growing up, minds, brains, everything developing and changing. But what you can tap into there's such a positive energy. And middle school students, wherever you go, they're very idealistic and in a way of wanting to look at how can we save the world type problems. They're not afraid to take on anything depending upon no matter how small or big. And so when we can learn to tap into that energy and their passion for that, we can really make some good headway. And what it is they may take on something and realize, well, geez, this is too big, can't do it. So just needing that adult guidance and going through the process can really tap into authentic learning when you tap into their energy and where they're at.
I love that kind of perspective, and I think that's the perspective that makes parents feel good about the middle school being a place for their child to really grow himself or herself. So as you talk about staff members at the middle school, and we all come in with, to a new school year with goals and expectations.
Yes.
What have you expected of yourself? What goals have you set for you as a professional?
Yeah. Well, goals as a professional, there's a piece of it where I set goals every year with it, and there's a part that, quite frankly, there's a point of sitting back a little bit, getting to know what the culture, where we're at, because to set a goal, you got to know where you're at today. And I am at a point where we're starting as a staff to come together as far as, okay, here's a real picture of where we are, so now how can we get here? And as far as goals, I think they're multi-tiered as far as just the social, emotional aspect of working with it. Again, creating a culture where we have school pride, students, they're practicing their school song, and that's with purpose, to say, hey, we are a Little Falls Community Middle School Flyer, and this is, we're proud to be here. And once you develop those relationships, the learning goals. So again, how can we ratchet up things to where we're here and to incorporate more best practices within the classrooms? Goals of having the students become real partners in our learning. We have a tech club going on now where students are going to be helping teachers and gaining some skills through that. Not all about test scores, but again, looking there. Ultimately, how can we have our students be ready to go into high school so then they can be college and career ready?
And a school is more than about the teachers. And
Yes.
many people feel that the school focuses solely on the teachers. And we really work hard at Little Falls Community Schools to let all of our staff members know that they are part of that educational process.
Yes, whether that's the custodians, the paraprofessionals, the food service.
Well, what do we do with food service today? I mean,
Yes, we had our first rollout in the middle school of our second chance breakfast. And all of the above, all staff members were there helping out with that. And it was great seeing the students come through and get that breakfast.
Yeah. So that ability for a leader in a school to impact every person that walks in a building is there.
Yes.
The leader has to take that opportunity to make those connections.
Yes.
And I know through our short time together, Wade, that you have attacked that challenge heartily, and I know that it has certainly paid its dividends and will continue to pay dividends. I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to meet with us today, kind of baptism by fire here on the Focus on Education show. Parting words, what would you like to say for people that are seeing you for the first time?
Well, I would just like to say, one, thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve and work with your kids. And all, whether this is staff, whether it's parents, whether it's students, my door is open. Come in, communication is just key. And so if we have ideas, if you have suggestions, if you have some concerns, come in, let's talk about them because we can figure it out and we're always better for that. And so how do we keep working together as a team?
Awesome. Well, our pleasure to have you. We hope it's a long relationship and that you and your wife find Little Falls and a Little Falls area to be a great place to be.
Yes, we have. So thank you.
Thank you. My second guest coming up momentarily, Mr. Dave Girtz. Mr. Wade Mazurth, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Back to our second segment of Focus on Education. I am Little Falls Superintendent Stephen Jones. Joining me for the second half is Mr. Dave Girtz. Now, Girtzy, I don't know what title are we using this day. I mean, everything seems to be changing for you.
It's amazing. I've been in the district over 30 years, and I've changed jobs several times in the district. This time it's a new challenging experience because I'm working with the media centers, but I'm also working with video production and working with probably the most exciting part is our new cable channel that's coming up. It actually is on Charter 181 right now. We just don't have our programming set to go, but it's ready to go as soon as we get the switch.
Okay, so more about that in a second. So right now, this school year, you're K-12 media specialist.
District
media specialist, as well as manager, operator
programmer.
of our educational public access channel, 181.
That's right, and that is one of the Charter digital switches put us up in the 180s, which is really nice. And I want to thank everybody for being supportive because it's been a great process, and thanks to the administration, we got things going, and education focus on cable channel is the new big thing in town.
All right, so we'll get to that in a sec. Let's talk a little bit about you, Girtzy. You've been in the district over 30 years.
Since 79.
What brought you to Little Falls?
Well, this is my hometown, and my mom and dad lived here until they passed away a few years ago. But raised my kids in town, loved Little Falls ever since class of 75, graduated. And it was a great place to come back to. As a teacher, when I started in 79, I had many of the same teachers that I had as teachers, which was really nice.
So when you came in 79, you were in what?
I was in third grade at Lindbergh Elementary.
Okay.
Yep. I was in third grade for about 5 years, switched to second grade.
Okay.
And was one of the only primary male teachers.
Sure, at that time, yeah.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I team taught with Lil Warner, who happens to be Karen Warner's mother-in-law.
Okay.
And we had a great team teaching. We were the first team taught primary elementary grade in Little Falls. They knocked out a wall at Lindbergh for us, and it was a great experiment.
Okay.
And it was real innovative at the time, too.
Yep.
After that, I really liked the media and technology route, so I went on to get my media licensure.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we opened up technology integration positions back in the late 1990s.
Okay.
And I decided to go for that, and was proud to be one of the first integration people, of which we're back to that great level right now.
We really are.
So we started it back in the late 90s. And took a leave of absence for 5 years and came back, and now I'm back in the media center. I'm back on technology, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, but technology is such a big piece of your job as it is a big piece of Little Falls Community Schools. And so for someone who's really been on the ground floor up, it has to give you great pride with the number of initiatives that we have out there all the time.
It is amazing, and I think we're trying to serve the needs of our students and our community and our parents. From what we've heard of the newest initiative, the Project Real initiative, things are back to a point where Little Falls is a leader in technology. And everybody's learning how to make this work together, and that's what I think the greatest thing is. And I've been part of the ground floor on a lot of these, and I really am very happy to be a part of that.
Yep, and I think the key message from our devices, from our iPads, from technology, is it's not about the device.
No.
It's about the curriculum.
Hence the fact it's Project Real, and we're really trying to get the device to be second nature, as a pencil would be in education.
Yep.
That's what we'd like to make it work.
Yep, so those are some of the issues that you deal with on a daily basis and have at the middle school specifically. You're now officed at the high school.
Yes, I am. I moved up to the High School Media Center in the old ITV room. The High School Media Center has undergone an incredible remodel. If you ever want to come up here, please do. It's a beautiful facility. We have all the media centers staffed, and I'm organizing things from afar, which is really interesting, and it's been very enlightening to me, and I have a great crew of people in the media centers. And then I'm also working as one of the instructional coaches for technology integration for teachers and students, and then the Channel 181 thing, which is the newest thing.
So let's talk about Channel 181, because I think that's the piece that our public will most associate with outside of the normal expectations that they have of school districts. So this all started back with about a year ago when the Jerry Abrahamson decided to retire, and that put public access in the community of Little Falls through charter at kind of a tipping point.
Exactly. At that time, there were two cable channels actually in Little Falls, Channel 6 and Channel 12. Channel 12 was always the education channel. We didn't have a lot of education programming on the channel. However, all of our sports broadcasts, coronations, pep fests, and all the concerts and choir band things were always broadcast through public access with Jerry. Well, when that went away, we found out that we could actually take over the education part of that and solely devote it to educational programming. And that is our goal with Channel 181. We have a charter for it, we have a handbook that we're going to follow, and we're going to be putting all the programming that we now have on the internet back on cable TV.
Yep, and so why will that, or how will that look different than what people have seen in the past through the activities and events that we've shown online?
I think the biggest thing that's going to happen is we're going to go back to live broadcasting on the internet and on our cable channel. Whereas we were always using tape delayed or DVDs, we're going to go live. We have a brand new system that's in place right now. You'll see bulletin board advertisements between program shows, but all the shows, including school board meetings, which we want to keep going live, we hope to have those on the channel. But what you'll see is in the cable channel menu, it'll have our programming up next, maybe a sporting event. We'll just switch to the sporting event from up here. The video club will produce it just like they did in the past, and you'll have a chance to see it online and on TV.
And one of the differences is, because of the events that mainly compose the programming in the past, which were generally high school activities, will we see a broader based programming that would incorporate all of our schools?
I am hoping to do that because what we're trying to do even this week with being a homecoming week, we're going to actually do a live broadcast from the middle school. We have a crew of students from the high school that are available to have me send them around to different buildings. Middle school is going to be one of our first remote broadcasts, and I do intend to do that with all the elementary schools because parents, grandparents want to see choir concerts, band concerts. I know that all the elementary schools have student award days, which I'd like to put online. And as we get the programming, we have the crew to then tape it, and it's going to go into the broadcast system, and we'll rebroadcast on a scheduled basis. So yes, other schools are going to benefit from this too.
So let's talk about the staff, the students, who are going to be our staff. Tell us how if I'm a student in Little Falls Community Schools, how do I get involved? But secondly, what's in it for me? What ultimately can I provide in service to Little Falls Community Schools Video Club and and do these opportunities?
That's a great question, because right now I do have a teaching assistant that's helping with some in-school video production. The Flyer Media Productions Video Club, of which you're seeing behind the scenes right now, a part of Mrs. Warner's class, is also helping us out. The students that I'm trying to send to other buildings can be a part of a work-study program, if you want to call it that. For credit, you can get a pass-fail for it, because I'd like to have people that maybe don't have a class that they have a study hall they want to get out of. Those are the people I'd like to see, so that we can send them out. And hopefully, they're like juniors and seniors, so they can drive to other buildings.
Right.
But I'll take anybody, because those kids can actually earn a credit. They can earn something other than just sitting in a study hall.
Right, and
which
not
is a
just
good thing.
once.
Not just
This
once.
can be an ongoing part of their 4 years here at the high school of
Absolutely.
being involved and being those people behind the cameras, being the people doing the interviews, that ultimately will come back and be on Channel 181.
Right, and the biggest thing is, we don't want to have the main staff, like the administrator person
Right.
like myself, do the filming and everything. This should be a student activity.
Right.
As you're seeing right now, all the students are doing the filming of this, and we're doing all the production as our
Right.
crew in the control room is waving at us.
Right.
But they're being taught how to do this.
Exactly.
And when we do our sports broadcast,
Right.
they're doing the same thing.
Right.
We're in the background, and we want this to be
Right.
maybe a career path for some students.
And I'm sure it will. But one of the things we have to remember is that it's a classroom. So it's a mobile classroom. It's not a classroom with walls like they used to be. And so part of that process is the learning process, which means it's not going to be perfect.
Exactly, and I think that's one thing we've emphasized, is we're maybe cutting back on the perfection part to get the training part in. In fact, we've talked at length about this, during basketball season and during
Right.
sports seasons. We've had adult announcers for play-by-play. We're looking for student announcers too. Anybody interested in that, that's one thing we'd really like to start seeding, so kids can do this rather than
Right.
adults. And we can shadow them, we can
Yep.
make them be aware of things, and all
Yep.
you have to do these things are actually just watch TV.
Exactly.
Everybody watches YouTube and internet TV. That's all we need, is people that are interested in that.
Well, and I love the ability of kids to get involved with something that doesn't mean sitting at a desk
Exactly.
in the traditional fashion. And I think that's why, as we work through this system over the next months and years, this will continue to grow. It will.
It's been a whirlwind for the first month of school. It just really has, because there's so much going on. We're getting new equipment.
Right.
Kids are really interested in doing things. Class projects that Mrs. Warner
Right.
does in her class can now be a part of our broadcast schedule.
Yep.
We've got video everywhere.
Right.
Everybody has access to video with their iPad, and that's we're trying to make it good, productive things that students can do to share to the
Yep.
community. Because
Yep.
one of our goals, as you know, because we've set it up, is community access and information.
Exactly.
What a way to do it.
And this is about outreach to our stakeholders. And so just the idea that this will be a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week television station devoted to Little Falls Community Schools is both exciting, but also a little bit awe.
It's daunting.
It is.
Just to let people know too, we do have all the archived footage from years past broadcast. That is going to be a part of our broadcast
Yep.
schedule. So you get to see things from the past 10 years.
So
or
classic.
more.
So
Classic.
Little Falls Community Classic
We're going to
Station.
have the old little scrolly
Yeah.
lines in the newspaper background. It should be
Yeah.
pretty good. Actually, we do have all those things digital ready to go as soon as the cable channel access gets going. And the only thing we're missing is just connectivity to charter systems somewhere. That's what we're working on right now.
And that's what we're working on, and hopefully within the next few weeks, that'll be taken care of. If people are wondering why things aren't up and going full-time, that's exactly why. We're just waiting to put those final Ts get crossed and the Is dotted, and we'll be up and ready to go.
And we've got great support from everybody in the district, from administration down to secretaries, custodians. Everybody is supporting access to what's going on in the district.
Well, if you've been watching for the last 11 or 12 minutes, you'll know that Mr. Girtz has passion. Mr. Girtz has energy. Mr. Girtz has excitement. And that's why we are so confident that this is going to be step one of something that's truly going to be innovative here at Little Falls Community Schools.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
So Dave, thanks for taking time and visiting with us today. We've had the opportunity to visit with Mr. Girtz today, as well as meet Mr. Mathers, our new middle school community school principal. So we're off. The school year is off. We're moving forward. It's going to be a great school year here at Little Falls Community Schools. Please, if you have any comments or concerns throughout the course of the school year, I'm very reachable. You can reach out through email. or to go to our webpage and connect with me that way, or simply pick up the phone and give me a call in my office, 632-2001. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about Little Falls Community Schools. Thanks for watching this edition of Focus on Education.